Hello, it's Delia. Thanks for clicking on. In this moment, we're going to talk a little bit about listening and the power of listening. So, listening is a huge superpower. And receiving whatever the information is, perceiving what's really going on, is invaluable. And it's an incredible navigational tool. Trying to navigate our way through every day, all the people, places, and things, all the points of view, all the investments. People are invested in this and that and the other, all of which is fine. But there's also another layer of a tremendous amount of misinformation and distrust being, let's say, broadcasted, generated. So the strategy that we're given societally since childhood is to be distracted or to, binge on TV or, drinking and drugging and all kinds of ways to not be conscious, as though there's too much to be aware of. And so the answer is to be less aware, which is exactly the opposite of what's true. So to be more aware doesn't mean to be more irritated. To be more aware simply means to perceive what's actually going on. And a good amount of what's going on are things that you don't need to engage in. Especially now, there's so much provocative stuff that's going on right now. And it's become so pervasive in our culture. Advertising is very provocative and evocative. It's an emotional manipulation. And so much of our lives are full of advertising. And even if you, air quote, don't pay attention, you're actually absorbing. So the more you can be aware, the more you can allow things to flow through, which is what we thought not paying attention was going to give us. But that's not exactly how that works. So we have a lot of misinformation to unlearn. And to become more aware, one of the trickiest parts about becoming more aware is you need to be in your body. And most people are somewhere above their eyebrows or higher. They're just hovering somewhere up and out here. Even people who are being really mental about things are not really in their body. And there's a lot too in our culture that makes being in your body unappealing. And sometimes we're even taught that it's dangerous to be in our own bodies. And to be our own selves is also taught to be dangerous. Just like being creative is taught to be dangerous. And there's this tinge of suspicion about it. And there's a lot of suspicion about being who you really are. There's a tremendous amount of support for being a facade or for being a certain way to the exclusion of other ways. And there are expectations that have been enculturated and encoded that you should be, if you're this way, then you can't be that way. All of which are traps and lies. So a lot of people have the idea that if they're going to be spiritual people or spiritually aware people, they have like these perfect pictures of what they think Gandhi was like, or what they think the Dalai Lama is like all the time. And nobody's anything all the time, because that's not living. Living, like when you're in the hospital, you see that sine wave, whatever it's called, that shows you're alive. A flat line means you're not alive. And to be one particular way all the time is not being alive. It may be having one facade, which is a coping pattern, a coping strategy, but it's not being alive. And in truth, we're not given a lot of training at being present in our bodies, being aware. We're much more trained to do for others and make other people money by being a good employee, or make other people happy by picking up their socks, or making other people happy by bringing home the bacon. There's a fundamental premise skew away from you being you. So much so that sometimes coming in to your own body and finding out how you feel can feel very threatening or dangerous. I know at different times of my own process, and I've seen this in countless people that I've worked with, there are times when you hit a wall of, I can be this free, but I can't be more free. I can be this much myself, but I can't be more than this myself. Or something bad will happen, or I'll get killed, or it's dangerous in some way. And to get past those, to get through those, takes a tremendous amount of courage and also presence to be willing to be on your side, to the point where you're willing to hear how scary it is, and you're willing to look around and see whether or not any of those bad things are true right now. So it's a courageous process, the hero's journey, as Joseph Campbell called it. And you can definitely have a tremendous amount of respect for yourself for going on the hero's journey. And coming into your body is definitely a part of the hero's journey. And it's a constant process over time. As you grow and change, you find new levels of limits to grow through. Over time, you build up a body of evidence that this is okay, you know how to do this, and you have confidence in the process. In the beginning, you don't. And so it may feel really icky and scary, but that's the time to really, in hindsight, you're going to be able to really appreciate your courage. So listening, a lot of times people listen for what they're going to say next, how they're going to rebut, how they're going to show the other person is wrong, or they're going to show how they're right, which is not really listening. And there's a kind of listening where it's like it's a funny thing, and it's going to sound funny. It's as though you don't care what they say. And it isn't that you don't care what they say, it's that you're not invested. Like, you're not weighted. Like, oh, well, that's wrong and this is right, and I need to correct them, or they're threatening me with that. So all of those are like weighted points of view. Whereas actual listening is like watching a river flow. Whether it's your thoughts or somebody else's words, it's like, oh, okay, see that? All right, okay. And you're not getting hooked on any one of them, right? And you're just allowing everything to flow. And then you respond the way that makes the most sense to you in the moment. So if someone is saying icky things, like childhood stuff, then you can just hear it and let it go by, which is a pretty senior advanced technique. And in the meantime, when you're getting your sea legs, it can be a matter of just saying interesting point of view. They have that point of view about everything they say. Or maybe not. Maybe not. And so you're kind of being with yourself in that moment of somebody saying a bunch of stuff. And your attention is on being with you and just allowing the words to flow by. And then you don't have to jump on everyone, and you don't have to respond. You don't have to anything. You just have to allow. You don't have to be. The more you allow, the more everything can just be as it is without turning it into a big thing. Now, there's parameters to everything. If you're in an unsafe situation, really physically unsafe, if you're in a dangerous relationship, or any kind of real imminent danger, then just listening may or may not be an effective tool. It might be the most effective thing is to just listen and then take all action steps to get out of the situation. But mostly I'm talking about just a general situation where it's contentious between people, not dangerously so, just annoyingly so. And this listening, not for what it means about you, but just listening, just letting it go by, really requires you to show up for you, to be in your body. And oftentimes the act of listening to somebody who's mad at you without being invested in their being mad at you, without being invested in defending yourself or proving who's right or wrong. It's remarkable how you're allowing them to say what they have to say will in fact deflate the energy, and the whole situation can be transmuted as if by magic. Listening is a very powerful superpower. It's a very powerful tool that we have, that we're built with, for how to navigate this the wild and wacky world of time and space and personalities. So I'd love to hear your experiences with just listening and allowing next time something like that comes up. Till next time, bye.